when you've got an ad, customers are going to be even more sensitive. So it's vital that we make sure that there's no interruption, no buffering when an ad happens. So we, for Sky, we look at all the metrics, both within the ads themselves and then across the aggregate, and make sure there is no delta between the two. And we're trying to make sure that, that from a customer perspective, the ads are rock solid and they behave just as well as the content does. So I think that's my target.
Tony, what metrics are you looking at?
Yeah, so our metrics wise, we've been going through a big journey at Sky. So when we started, we looked at loads of papers, loads of research out there. Akamai's done a lot, Conviva's done a lot, BitMoving, we're just starting off, but they've done a lot more recently. Loads of companies have done this kind of stuff, matching QE back to customer behavior. So everything kind of agreed that buffering was the most important. So our first KPI was just solely around buffering, and we tried to define what an acceptable experience was from an unacceptable experience, and then just make sure that more and more customers were getting that acceptable experience. And we saw a huge uptake in engagement, and we've taken buffering down, I guess, 80% over the last 7 years with hundreds of improvements. Then what we found was that we get to like a point of, we hit the law of diminishing returns. So we're putting more and more effort to get marginal improvements. And so we used all that data we've got, matching QoE back to churn, and we came up with a new KPI, which we call the next gen KPI, which is really around flawless streaming. And this is really well correlated with churn, and it also is quite understandable. So we're looking at percentage of streams without interruption at 720p. So we're making sure that customers have at least a good visual quality and no interruptions. And so this is a KPI that's been running for a couple of years, and we've had huge success with it over the whole of Sky, and they've all been bought into it, and we're making great decisions based on it. So the idea is it kind of simplifies all those different metrics and makes them just turn into one. And if you don't, if you've got Conviva, like Conviva's a good, I'm sure that other guys are doing the same kind of thing, but Conviva's just recently released their Streaming Performance Index, SPI, which is a kind of equivalent of the next gen KPI. So very, quite a similar setup. So if you don't want to do all of the kind of statistics, that's a good place to start.